been a while since I've been here. I'm not even sure we can actually get into the mall anymore. So there's an entrance there for the fitness club. Let's see what this says. Arcade Legacy customers. Please park and enter the mall near. Oh, we can get in. Awesome. Alright, here we go. Hey guys, what's going on today? We got a pretty cool video planned. If I'm being kind of quiet, you'll see why here in a minute. But I want to first thank everybody. We actually hit 50 subscribers here recently, which is kind of what motivated me to do this. I've been thinking about doing a video like this for a while, but now that we've hit 50 subscribers, I thought, I'm going to go out and do it. So if you're wondering where we're at, we are in the Cincinnati Mall. So the Cincinnati Mills, Fourth Fair, since all different names it's had. And there's a lot of other YouTube videos and some articles and stuff that people have done where they walk around the mall, and you're going to see why it's interesting here in a moment in case you don't know. But actually I'm just going to start walking now. But so the mall is still open, but largely completely abandoned and empty, and it's pretty crazy. So, but we'll get into that here in a minute. First, we'll talk about why I made this video. A lot of the reasons why is, in case you're wondering, the Stranger Things season 3 that just came out here recently. A big focus of that is the mall that they built. It's, set in the 80s, in case anyone doesn't really know. We got some water leaking right here. So, bucket right there. But is set in the 80s at like the height of mall culture. So that's kind of what got me thinking about. And they actually shot the movie in a mall similar to this one. So a portion of the mall is actually still used, which this is as well. You'll see right there, there's a gym. And there's people in there working out right now here in this abandoned mall. And there's some other stores that are still open too that we'll get to. But they filmed it in an abandoned mall similar to this one. And they were saying during shooting on set, people would kind of wander in because they were coming from other areas of the mall that were still open. And it just immediately made me think of Forest Fair. So I kind of wanted to come make a video. There's a lot of other videos about it, but a lot of them are either people where they're just like pictures from different times, kind of giving the history of the mall or something like that. But I have a pretty personal attachment to this mall for multiple reasons. So I was born kind of late 80s, grew up in the 90s, which was height of the whole mall culture. And during that time, I grew up, I would say, pretty squarely middle class. So a lot of weeknight or weekends, like Friday nights, was spent going to the mall. We didn't necessarily even buy anything. It was just kind of what you did. It was almost like the cultural center for kind of our generation, as we would just go walk around the stores, hang out. And this mall in particular was always very cool to me for multiple reasons. I'm actually gonna come sit over here and talk for a minute. But cool for multiple reasons. One being just growing up, we would always come to this mall. My mom actually worked at there was a Parisian here, and she worked there as a seamstress. And on Friday nights, we would often come pick her up, and afterwards would come to Biggs. So this right here, right behind me where all this walls is sealed up, this was all the Biggs. Biggs was like a large grocery chain that also had, clothes and toys and stuff like that. But so we'd pick her up, usually eat in the food court. Sometimes if things were, going real good, we'd eat at like a Ruby Tuesdays or one of the other restaurants that was here in the mall. But after that, we would come get all the family groceries and then go home. And that was kind of what we did there. I remember times like New Year's Eve one night, we went to like a movie, and when we got out, the mall was empty because it was closed. And there was a movie theater in here, and if you saw movies that came out, that you'd walk out after, you were still out in the mall, and it was just empty, and that always felt weird. And now here we are, that it's constantly empty. But fast forward years later, the mall went through a large renovation, which we'll go into some of the history of it here in a minute, but it's just kind of for me. But and me and Ashley's first official date, being boyfriend and girlfriend, was at this mall. We went to this toy store and got a birthday present, and just walked around. We also went to a bunch of movies here. I got a lot of memories. So back here in the corner, I don't know if you can really make it back over there, whoop, was Guitar Center. So growing up, or in around high school age, when I was in a band, we'd often come up here and just hang out and just sit in Guitar Center, never buy anything. I do remember one time though, we all sold like a whole bunch of stuff, and we got enough money to come get like a Tascam 8-track recorder to where we could actually like record demos and stuff. And we all came, piled in my car, drove up here, walked in there with our wad of money and bought this thing, and that was just like the coolest thing for us. But a lot of memories here. Somebody else walking by. So let's go walk around. Walk around the mall here a little bit. So one of the other big things that this mall had going for it growing up was the timeout on the court. So they did some renovations and changed some things, but pretty much when you walked up over here, at one point there was the huge timeout on the court. Put some pictures in, but they had like a giant Ferris wheel inside, putt-putt, they had laser tag, arcade games. One thing I remember fondly is the contraptions they had with like basketballs and just like size balls that would just go around in like a wheel. They had those set up all over the place, and that was just kind of the one thing about this mall. So no matter what, it always went just above and beyond. I mean, look at some of the architecture, even still, how clean they keep it. So that there was here was a Berean Christian bookstores that was always really popular. Growing up, like that was one of the largest Christian bookstores in the area. This was the movie theater that did first-run movies. It was a Showcase Cinemas at one time. But anyway, back to Time Out on the Court. So the mall. So with Time Out on the Court, the cool thing was, we did a lot of trips there. Like I remember pretty much every birthday parties, for a lot of church functions, for like our small like Sunday school classes and youth groups, we'd come here. My dad ran like the high school boys Sunday school class, so every year when he would do his like get-togethers, laser tag, whatever, he'd bring me, so I'd get to come kind of hang out with the older boys. I always thought that was cool. But just so many memories here. There's a lot of mall walkers. A lot of people that just are coming here to walk around the mall. It's just so crazy. I just can't get over how crazy and empty it is. And so a little bit of history of the mall. Built in 1988, over 88, 89, when it first opened as Forest Fair Village. Name being because it sits literally on the border of Forest Park and Fairfield, so clever name. And it kind of got off to a rough start. I mean, it's insane because it's the second largest mall in the state of Ohio, ever since it was born when it was built. And it just struggles. It always seemed to be struggling to keep tenants and stay relevant. And some of that may be because it's sandwiched right between two other malls. So a few exits up is Northgate Mall, which is significantly smaller. Actually two exits down is Tri-County Mall, which is another two-story kind of a bigger mall. So yeah, 1 year after it opened, L.J. Hooker, who was the owner of the mall, the company there went bankrupt, so they had to sell it. So it was the first round of renovations went on in 1990. Mall kept going. And that's kind of when most of my generation, if anybody watching this will remember, that's kind of like the height of the mall when they had, this really elaborate, they had the like when Santa was here, he was probably one of the most elaborate Santa displays of any of the malls or any of the areas. They just always went the extra mile. Even now, look at this architecture down here in the middle of the mall. The ceilings, the theming that's going on here. I mean, the other malls in the area, when you go to them, and they're not like, I wouldn't say they're run down or bad or anything, but just pretty cookie cutter, pretty plain when it comes to what they do. And this mall, there's always just put the money in. I'll give them credit, no matter who was running it, no matter who owned it at the time, really put the effort and the money to try to keep it going and make it nice. It was always very elaborate with everything they were doing, and it just didn't work. So after the first kind of fall of the mall, in the 90s. Right around 2000, it got rebranded into Cincinnati Mills, and that's kind of when it got its second life. That's kind of when it got its second life as another upscale mall with heavy renovations. They spent tens of millions of dollars to renovate it and kind of keep it going. And one thing they did cool then, again, always trying to do something different, was the stores that they put in here. Wasn't a lot of, keep walking around the top. Wasn't a lot of the chain stores that you found in a lot of the other malls. A lot of one-off stores. A lot of, here, there's a bucket here fixing a leak and the bucket fell over. So I'm gonna do my part and fix that. So, a lot of one-off stores, a lot of specialty shops, a lot of stuff that you couldn't find elsewhere. They had one of the first like H&Ms in our area here in Cincinnati. They had like a lot of poster stores. They had like a little indoor kind of theme park thing. They had one of the first Stephen Barry's that was in our area. I'm trying to think of, like I said, they had the Guitar Center, they had the Christian bookstore. They had like a poster store, fragrance stores, just all this kind of stuff that you don't really find in the other malls. And so, I mean, it was really unique and cool. They had a giant Johnny's Toys, which was probably the last Johnny's Toys in the area. But the problem with that is, one, I believe rent was really high here because the cost of, for one, the building that had went bankrupt, you know, has pretty much been in the negative from the day it opened and had issues, to all the renovations that went on, had to pay for all that. So the problem with that is when you got like one-off stores or mom and pop shops, is the margin for error if things go you know, quiet is much smaller. So the mall gets redone. Right after that, the recession hits, which just crippled a lot of the shopping areas in the area. A lot of the other malls, like Northgate, really hasn't bounced back either. If you go there, it's much smaller, but like they're struggling to try to get anchor stores and stuff to stay there, or you know, keep things going inside. But really hit this mall hard, and they put all that money. I mean, it's kind of just pushing all your cards to the table, or all your chips to the center of the table at the absolute worst time. Because shortly afterwards, right when they got back opened, they like I said, the recession hit, and it just, all those mom and pops started going out, and here we sit now with a empty mall, pretty much. So talking a little bit about the future for the mall, a lot of different, one thing you're going to see evident by a lot of the videos and a lot of the shots I've got here is just how still maintained it is pretty well. You know, I've shown a few like leak buckets that are sitting there, but for the most part, it's like it's still very clean. The paint looks fresh. I mean, it's ridiculous how well maintained, how much effort they're putting into keeping this place, you know, going, or at least like it feels like if within the next 2 weeks people moved into all these stores, they could open the doors and they'd have like a top-notch mall going again. It's crazy. So there's been a few other things put forward to try to get the mall going, to try to keep it, get it back functioning again. A few proposals I saw that would involve some of these stores turning into like housing or apartments or something to try to get some use out of it. They've had obviously a few different people that have kind of recommended just tearing the whole thing down and doing something with the land development wise, but I don't think that's what they want to do. They obviously, the fact that they are keeping it up and keeping it clean and keeping it going tells me that they still have some hope for it. But I don't know. I don't really know where we sit. Well, there's a lot of theories and suggestions and things online in different groups, different community groups, different that kind of specialize in going around to these dead malls and doing videos like this, or just kind of updating on the history of it. But right now it just kind of sits. So It's just crazy. I remember there was weekends where every store was filled, people everywhere, parking lots full. The sound of the Ferris wheel, the sound of the arcade games, people playing, looking down from the middle and seeing people playing putt-putt, just people going to movies, the food court bustling. It's crazy, and now it's just a sign of changing times, I guess. But just a bygone era of the mall. It's pretty surreal to walk around something. You have so many memories and sounds. I remember walking out and always hearing the kind of festival fair music that they would play, and it echoed because it's such a huge mall, and it's just that distinct echoing noise of the music playing throughout the mall. Over there was a Burlington Coat Factory at one time. Me and Ashley's first Christmas dating, I remember getting her like a real nice coat there. I don't know, just at one point, it's kind of hard to point it out because the Cincinnati Mills renovations kind of changed a lot of the layout, but they had a really cool idea where they decided they were going to try to separate different areas of the mall into themed areas. So up by Biggs was like the market area where you got food and a lot of other consumer goods and things like that. They had kind of, I want to say over that general area over by the back corner was like a bunch of restaurants and kind of like a nightlife area. They kind of had like a Mardi Gras theme, and they had some restaurants. I remember there was like a bar grill there, and one time a guy my dad worked did competitive arm wrestling, and we went there and watched this guy compete in this big tournament there. They had so that was kind of like there where the movie theater was, the entertainment area. They obviously had the food court, and so they just really tried new things with all the different malls in the area. You had to try to separate yourself, and they really tried to do different stuff to try to separate themselves from what everybody else was doing, and it just couldn't work out. Mismanagement, or like I said, pushing all your chips to the center when not at the right time, and now we sit here with an empty mall. But hopefully someday they can get it worked out and they can figure out something to do with it. And I would love to come back someday and see it hustling and bustling and people everywhere and all the work and effort and dedication they put into keeping this thing going to be paid off, because there's definitely a lot of people that grew up in this area probably have some fond memories of this mall, more so than the others, mainly just because how unique, how creative, how the character that it had. Time Out being a huge reason why no other mall had a lot of that kind of stuff going on. But yeah, it's me personally, lots of memories, family, both growing up as a child, my teen years, lots of memories here. So around a little bit on the just to give you guys a picture. It does look like Amazon or somebody's leasing some space over here because there's all these transit vans, and they've got a big area fenced off over here. But show you guys the outside here. Outside does not, I will say, is not being kept in as much good condition as the inside. So my comment earlier about being able to just fill it up with spots and open the mall is probably not accurate. Maybe some work needs to be done on the outside. This right here was Guitar Center. These were offices. Those are office entrance. security vehicle left abandoned here. Crazy. Pardon the language there. Probably the most active you will see the mall. The Kohl's is right here, which is still operating. This mall entrance, I believe, is still open. Yep, it's in the corner right there. This was the media play, if you remember inside when we looked at the media play. That's where media play was. This was Burlington Coat Factory. That grand entrance right there that led right out to the main concourse. And then, of course, right over here is Bass Pro Shop, which is probably by far the biggest anchor still left. And I remember hearing some rumors that they were thinking about leaving and building a standalone one somewhere nearby. But that would probably definitely be the death blow to end it for the mall. But I'll drive up here and show you guys where all those trucks I mentioned are. Prime trucks. I know Amazon just put in a Fairfield facility. I don't know if that's literally what this is, or if they just have some office space here, or storage for trucks. I'm not entirely sure what Amazon's got going on here. You can see they've got some parking. And a lot of prime trucks. I don't know if they shuttle people to where their facility is, or they've got some offices here. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about doing something different like this. Just I kind of felt, like I said, Stranger Things just flooded back a lot of memories of the mall to me. And I just started thinking about this place and all the memories here. And I thought, you know what? It'd be cool to go down there and walk around and get some footage and just talk about it. So let me know in the comments what you guys thought. If this was cool, if more stuff like this would be something you want to see. You know, if you haven't subscribed yet, first thanks to everybody that got us to over 50 subscribers. Now we're on the road to 100 subscribers, which would be awesome. But if you did subscribe, I greatly appreciate it. Me and Ashley both do. And if you don't want to subscribe, if maybe you just came across this video as a mall video and you have no interest in seeing anything else about my family, just give us a like. That'd be great too. But yeah, crazy stuff. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.